Good day so far? Yep. You pull some nuggets already? Get some good nuggets? Okay, so this is, I'm fondly referring this room as the room of pain. This room, I'm going to give you as many nuggets as I possibly can, but it's going to get real. It's going to get real fast. And so my name's Justin. I'm an expert EOS implementer. Anybody heard of EOS? So that's what I do full time. I've been a speaker, trainer, coach since 2012. Between my leadership stuff, I'm certified with the John Maxwell Team. Between all of my leadership stuff and EOS, I've probably done over 1,600 full-day sessions or workshops or whatever over the past since 2012. So I love this. I'm on a mission. How many of you have ever wrestled with procrastination or not happy with some of the results that you're getting in your life and you felt condemned or convicted, or you've kind of felt like, oh, how come I suck so bad? Not that maybe you felt that way ever, just maybe it was just me. Anybody frustrated with any of that kind of stuff? Yep. So just, first of all, what's a best friend? Can someone tell me what a best friend is? What's a best friend?
Someone who tells you the truth.
Someone who tells you the truth. What else? Someone holds you accountable. Love that. Someone that builds you up. Well, what a great friend. What? They stick with you. So they tell you the truth. They hold you accountable. They build you up. And they what? And they stick with you. Man, that's a best friend. So for the next 45 minutes, we don't know each other very much, but I just want to ask to be your best friend. Because I feel like if I could be your best friend just for 45 minutes, you might be more receptive with what I'm about to say. Because my best friends, they stab me from the front. They would never backstab me. But they look right at me like, Maust, what, are you freaking jacked up? Like, what are you thinking? You're crazy. That's a bad move. Don't do that. And I'm like, oh, thank you. That's helpful. That's what I have in best friends, right? They tell you the truth. They don't really care how you're going to feel about it because they already love you. They're going to stick with you. But you need some people like that in your life, right? Yep. Okay, so maybe you don't have to nod your head to give me permission, but mentally and emotionally, can you give me permission to just be your best friend for 45 minutes? Because what I'm going to tell you is going to be very uncomfortable. Because we live in America, and America has fallen in love with comfort. And so I don't want to give you anything that's comfortable because we have enough of that everywhere else. I'm going to give you some stuff that I am very convicted about, and it's changed my life. And it's these 8 key components to whole life success. I was a massive procrastinator. I was frustrated in many areas of my life, in my 20s, in my 30s. I always have run hard. I've always worked hard, but I was a hot mess. In fact, when I became a leadership coach, I was a financial advisor with Edward Jones. They offered me a limited partnership. I would rather have a case of gout than do one more portfolio review in my life. And I'm like, something's got to change. And so I left that and moved down. My brother and I started a ministry together with a couple good friends, Jim and Mia Schaefer. We literally started with 5 volunteers and 50 students. We grew it to about 300 volunteers, 2,500 students. And then I left that because I'd rather have a case of gout than ask one more person for funds. I was the fundraiser. I was kind of the president fundraiser noisemaker. And I was stuck. And then 7 years into that mission, which was an amazing mission, my wife sat me down because I was going through a bit of a depression, I think. And she looked at me and she says, you're miserable. And she loves me. Like she was stabbing me from the front. And she's like, you're not the man I thought you'd be when I married you 16 years ago. You're not the husband I thought you'd be when I married you 16 years ago. And you're not the father I thought you'd be when I married you 16 years ago. That was in October of 2011. And within 60 days, I resigned from the nonprofit my brother and I started because my wife was right. And I was not where I wanted to be. And a lot of it was because of this topic called discipline. There wasn't much of it in me. And I left that career. I started a leadership training company. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I knew I had something in me. I didn't know what. So I started taking steps in 2012. And 3 months into that, my wife looked at me and she said, when I married you 16 years ago, this is exactly what I had in mind. And so she was not leaving me. She was just letting me know with a gentle nudge right between my eyeballs, sweetie, you're going through depression and it's got to change. 3 kids. So let me introduce you to my family. Right here. So that's my high school sweetheart. I proposed to her when she was a senior in high school. We dated since she was in 8th grade. I was in 10th grade. Married her 6 months after she graduated. We valiantly tried to have children for the first 5 years and nothing worked. It was an amazing experience, but nothing worked. And so we did an open adoption. And Cameron, was our firstborn. We adopted him from Lansing. And then a month and a half later, my wife gets pregnant by me, which was awesome. And so 2 boys within 10 and a half months, Cameron and Jalen. And then 2 years later, my sweet Maya gets born. And so this past weekend, my daughter got married. She's 19. She found a boyfriend less than 4 months ago. They dated for 7 weeks. They got engaged for 2.5 months, and we got married on Saturday. And I couldn't say much because anytime I would say something, she's like, Dad, Mom was in high school when you put a ring on her. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's true. That's very true, honey. You're right. I did date her for 4 months or 4 years, but that was like 8th grade, and that doesn't really count, I guess. And she's just looking at me. She's laughing because she's just like me. She moves fast. She's intense. She's got lots of energy. And the other thing I want you to know about our family is there's amazing smiles right there. My daughter came to Christ 6 months ago. We've been praying for her for a long time. And God did a miracle. And then she married a guy that loves Jesus and is sold out. And so as a dad who's dreaming and praying for crazy things to happen and knowing that God wants to move, I don't know what's going on in your life, but I just want you to say, keep praying. He has ways of making things happen that you have no idea. And so that's my family. We're all smiling. And I just want you to know that inside of all those smiles, there's a drama queen in there. That would be the far left guy. I'm the drama queen of the family. And there's dysfunction. There's dysfunction in that right there. Lots of smiles, but there's dysfunction. How many can relate? How many know people that there's dysfunction in their life? Not you, of course, just I'm talking about the people beside you. Okay, so that's my family. If we're going to be best friends, I need you to know that everything I'm giving you, I'm going to give you 100%. I'm going to give you a fire hydrant. You're going to drink from a fire hydrant for the content, okay? But none of it is rocket science. And I don't want you to feel condemned at all. My heart is that you would allow me to stab you from the front so you can evaluate what I'm saying to you and just saying, where am I at on this journey? And so if I go back, this is kind of why I do what I do. My passion is I want to bless people. I love helping grow companies. That's why I'm an EOS implementer. But I have this operating system within businesses that I do, and I'm like, I want whole life success. I want an operating system for my life. And so EOS Worldwide has given me permission to take some of their tools and morph it into this whole life success model. And so I'm going to show that to you. But I want to grow companies. I want to grow people. And then I want to fund ministry. That is my passion. This is why I'm put on planet Earth. There's those 6 words. I know there's more than that. But if I were to boil it down, the essence of what I'm trying to do, that's what I'm trying to do. And then my mission, like what do I do day in and day out? As a speaker, trainer, coach, I ignite and fuel people with tools and disciplines to succeed. So everything I'm going to give you, I have a serious set of tools that if you apply them, you will achieve ridiculous success. And I don't mean worldly success. Yes, I mean all of the successes. Success is 1,000 different things. Success in your walk with Christ, success in your relationships, success in your health, success in your bank account, success in your business, success in your leadership. There's 1,000 different things success in a race that you're trying. Success loves discipline. So show me where you want success, and I promise you, there's a couple disciplines that if you apply them with rigor, the odds go way up that you will have the kind of success you want. So I need to do something for me. I need you to read through these. I'm just kind of going to read them, but I want you to kind of soak in them. So life scenario number 1, There's no real clear vision for my life. I'm unfulfilled relationships. There's more fighting than loving. There's some financial frustration. There's lots of arguments, even more anxiety. There's some poor health, sickness, lethargic, constantly tired, career frustrations, toxic work environments. I feel stuck. I feel defeated. I'm sick of tolerating mediocrity in my life. I have a lukewarm spiritual life. There's no peace. There's little love and there's less joy. Things feel out of control, overwhelmed. I'm feeling like I'm in survival mode. I feel like I just can't win. There's not enough of me to go around. I'm sick of my own excuses. If I'm honest, I'm not even growing. I'm the same person I've been for freaking 10 years, just a little older. I'm working hard, but I'm not moving the needle the way I know I could. I'm living more hopeless than hopeful these days, and I'm freaking sick and tired of being sick and tired. How many of you know people like this? Okay, don't point at them right now. Just keep that between yourself. Scenario 2 is this. Life is pretty good. It's easy. It's not super taxing. If I'm honest, I'm kind of bored. I'm not challenged, but it's good. I've got more gas in the tank, but I've kind of settled maybe. I've got a good life, but I know it's not great. You're content to be on the hamster wheel because it just is what it is. You know that you're not living to your full potential. Good enough has become a motto that's less desirable. There is a desire for more, though, and I'd love to know what I'm really capable of. I think there's more in me, but I've kind of become domesticated. I like comfort. It's comfortable. Just the word comfort. It's like a warm blanket. I've lost some of the fire that I used to have. I'd love to live life wide open and see how far I can go. I just don't know where to start. Okay. Did any of those bullets, forget about the actual scenarios, did any of those bullets resonate? Any resonating? Okay, good. 90% of you. The rest of you, do you have a heartbeat? Is there any heartbeats there? Just kidding. So maybe you're on the end where like, no, man, I'm like an Olympic athlete running in such a way as to win the prize. Everything is hot and awesome, and I love it. That's awesome. I want that for every single person in this room. And so if you want success, you have to define it. The biggest mistake you can do is you look outside and you're like, oh, I like that. They are successful. I want that. Comparing is a horrible game to play, especially when you realize we're standing before the King of Kings. If you're faith-based like me, someday I'm going to give an account. And I'm so glad. What's your name, sir? What's your name? I'm so glad that Don is not the person I'm going to be accountable to. Because when I stand before Don, he might have an opinion of me that I wouldn't like. But I'm not standing before Don or Alex in the back, my videographer. I'm not standing before any of these people. Who am I standing for? Yeah, he's the one that I want to run towards. So I'm not comparing myself to him because he's way above. But he's the one I am going to answer to. And so for me, I've built this coaching model that kind of revolves around this right here. Success loves discipline. The DNA of this is the relentless, courageous pursuit of God's purpose for my life by taking intentional, focused steps daily. Because I'm sick and tired of tolerating. Whatever you tolerate in your life, you actually endorse. I'm sick and tired of tolerating things that are mediocre. So I need you to do me a favor. Everybody, please raise your hands as high as you can. Look around the room, quick, look around the room. Okay, now look back at me. Okay, give me one more inch. You do understand that I just said, please raise your hands as high as you can. Do you understand that? And you all went, okay, I'll play the game. Yeah, the speaker says raise hands. Give me another inch. Oh, yeah, I got some. Hey, you got some more? Yeah, I got more. Do you see what I just did? Okay, now we're laughing, but I want you to understand something. What's that difference? What's this difference right here? What's this inch? It's incremental. So they did a study. I think Darren Hardy did this from the compound effect, but I did a restudy of the same thing. Golfers. Number 1 golfer in the world, number 10 golfer in the world. They averaged the number of strokes per 18 holes over the course of an entire year. What was the difference in number of strokes per 18 holes? What do you think the difference is?
Number 1 and number 10?
between number 1 golfer in the world and number 10. What do you think the difference in number of strokes per 18 holes on average over the course of a year? The difference per 18 holes. 3 strokes, 4 strokes, less than 1. The answer, 0.1 strokes. Number 10 in the world, number 1 in the world, number 10 in the world. 0.1. Now, how much tournament money difference was there from number 10 in the world, number 1 in the world? Number 1 and number 10. What's the difference in tournament earning money? $7 million for 0.1. Now, what's the difference in sponsorship, like endorsement money? What do you think the difference is there? $70 million. Do we understand what 0.1 is? You understand, in America, we are comfortable. And it's easy to stick yourself up above average because everyone wants comfort. And so John Maxwell says everything great is uphill. You want a great marriage? You want a great bank account? You want a great body? You want a great relationship with your kids? You want a great business? Then just choose to go uphill, because everybody wants downhill results, but they're not willing to go uphill. So this is that 1%. This is you saying, I want more, but it's not about you. Look to your neighbor and say, it's definitely not about you. It's not about you. Not in this. So I want to show you this model, because I've been a speaker, trainer, coach. I've seen hundreds of models of coaches telling you, I can help you have whole life success. I can help you achieve all kinds of things. Just follow my path, follow my plan. And these coaches become like mini gods. And you soak in their information and you try to model yourself after them. And that's good to a point. But I never saw a model that really fit my DNA. And my model is, I don't want faith to be one of the components of the pie. I want it to surround me, so any direction I look in my life, I want to be informed by my faith. So if you're not a person of faith, you can still use this exact model. Just put in core values. That will help you. But I would love to talk to you about faith, because I think that we miss an element. I think that there's a God that loves me. He has plans for me that are exceedingly abundantly more than I could ever ask or imagine. And I'd like to tap into his thoughts for my life. And so I want to be informed by my faith, because I think God has a vision for my life. And I think God he knows how many hairs are on my head. He knows how many hairs are on your head. Do you know this verse? Like he cares about all these little things. And I think if he cares about the number of hairs on my head, which is kind of a stupid thing to care about. I mean, I love my kids dearly, and I have no clue how many hairs are on their head. I think that my health is more important than the hairs on my head. I think my finances are more important. I think my growth, I think all this stuff is more important than the hairs on my head. So if I have a God that cares that much about me, that he knows that, how much more does he want to infuse his ideas into the way I live my life? Does this make sense? Are we still best friends? Because I want to be your best friend just for like 30 more minutes. So when you look at this wheel, this whole life success model, I'm going to take you through each of the components. I'm going to give you a couple of the disciplines, and you're going to process and you're going to evaluate yourself. So the number one trait of the most successful people on the planet is delayed gratification. That's a sign of going uphill. The number two trait of the most successful people on the planet is self-awareness. Some people are not aware of what reality is in their world. They always have the rose-colored glasses on. So for a hot second, I'm going to stab you from the front. That's what best friends do. Ask you to take off those rose-colored glasses. And I want you to look at yourself in a mirror, and I want you to be evaluating yourself against these 6 key components, these actual 8 key components for your life. How many would say, Justin, man, I'm hoping my life sucks for the next 10 years? Anybody? Anybody hoping that? Nobody's hoping for this, right? Then how come it happens? I have friends that would feel like their life sucks right now. They're going through a lot of painful things. But no one's hoping for this. I think God was intentional when he made earth. Do you guys think he was intentional? I don't think he was like, oh my goodness, I just threw these trees out and Jesus, look at those trees. They're producing oxygen. Good thing for those humans. I had no idea that trees would do that. Wow. That water's drinkable. That's great. Did you know the sun? He's talking to, the Trinity. He's talking to the three of them. Look at that. The sun just happened to be the right distance to not fry those little creatures down there I made. I mean, if you think about it from this perspective, I think everything was ridiculously intentionally designed. Do you agree? And we're made in his image, right? And so I can point to the rocks, I can point to the mountains, I can point to the ponds, I can point to the little animals, and they're all living intentionally as they were designed, except us. We get free will, free choice. So that's why the mirror is important. So you can look at yourself and say, all right, Lord, what do you think? How am I doing with these areas? No condemnation, conviction. I'm looking for conviction. I want this to be a nice, gentle stab from the front. It's going to be uncomfortable to look at yourself, but I believe that by informing by faith, having clear vision, where you want to go and how you want to get there, and then what kind of health do you want to have to optimize your life? I had a friend of mine, I was doing a leadership training event probably 10 years ago. He started tearing up in the middle of the conference room with all these executives. He said, I can't get on the ground and roll around with my grandkids. I'm so unhealthy. And Justin, I know this. I've bought every workout program, every body style, every diet is up in my bookshelf. I've bought every one of them, and none of them have worked. I don't think that's true. But he had such regret as to how he took care of his health because he was missing out on his grandson. I want God to inform my finances. I want to have more impact. I want to be more generous than ever before. I want to be more giving to the people in my life. I want to bless people that I don't even know. I want to be a blessing to my family. How do I steward my dollars? Then my growth mindset. This is about your mindset. As a man thinketh, so is he. And so being informed by, well, where should I grow? So we have a couple tools that I'll talk about there. But if you're not growing, how are you going to get to the next level? It's this combination of you have to think and do. Thinking plus doing equals result. And if you want more, if you want a bigger result, you have to think and do differently. So if you're the person that has never grown in your thinking, you're going to be the person that gets the same results every day for 20 years. There's nothing wrong with that unless you feel like you're convicted like you're supposed to grow. Like if you talk to God one day and he's like, hey, I don't want you to grow closer to me. I just want you to stay the same. Just be comfortable and stay the same. Let's not challenge your faith at all. Just stay drinking milk. That would be great. How many think that's what God wants for you? And I think the parable of the talents, the guy that buried the one talent, he was rewarded, wasn't he? So much fun. Hey, that guy that buried the talent, let's give him a prize. That never happened. It was the guy that had 2 talents that became 4. The 5 talents became 10. Let's take the one that didn't do anything with it, and let's give that to someone that can do something with it. That's the parable of the talents. So I'm in alignment with the thinking of let's grow our mind. And it's not about the material success. It's growing your mind in a handful of directions. Make sense? And then you have your career. I think there's giftings, there's some blessings, there's some wiring in you, naturally wired in you, that are optimal for you to be doing. Have you ever seen like some creature not be in its natural state? Like put an ostrich in an ocean. How long would it last? Not very long. I don't think they're made for that. There's some people that are gifted to be teachers, right? Some people gifted with crafts. Some people gifted with hospitality. Like whatever your hand finds to do that with all your heart. But you have some giftings. I'm looking at you. You have some giftings that are uniquely given to you. And have you optimized them? So we're going to go through this model. And you're going to look at and evaluate your career, You're going to evaluate your mindset. You're going to evaluate your finances, your health, your vision, and then you're going to evaluate your relationships. Because last I checked, I think the man upstairs cares deeply about these humans on the planet. And I think it's our job to be grounded in awesome relationships. So that's the model. And then you see on the outer ring, it's not just about you and being informed by faith so you have an idea of every direction that you want to live in life, but it's also about surrounding it with discipline. And this is where I told you I'm a massive procrastinator. The last fruit of the Spirit. Anybody know the fruits of the Spirit? There's all these flowery words on the front end. What are they? Love, joy, peace, patience, gentleness. That's so soft and comforting. Kindness. Then it gets a little harder. Long-suffering. I think long-suffering is one, right? Faithfulness or something like that. And then the last one is what? like that's a self-control. Love, joy, peace, patience. All these amazing words. And then the last one he picks is self-control. He must have lost his place in the book he was reading when he was coming up with these things, because all these other words are amazing. And then you got self-control. So I'm in the back of a church listening to this men's retreat. And they're talking about going all in. And I can't remember all the conversation because all I heard was something about being an Olympic athlete. And I asked the Lord, I'm like, man, Lord, I wonder what an Olympic Christian looks like. Because in America, we're like so many casual Christians, habitually mediocre in how they approach their life and their faith and so many things because we're all comfortable. It's like, go to a third world country and you see people joyful that they have water. And so it's just, we don't have that here. We don't. And so it's like, okay, Lord, I want to be super intentional. I want to live like an Olympic athlete for you. And I want to have whole life success. So I'm going to unpack. What I'm going to do is I'm going to unpack each of these key components. Make sure I understand my time here. I'm going to unpack each of these key components, and I'm going to have you rate yourself. And these disciplines are here, but I want you to assess, because this is not what I think of your area, whatever component I'm talking. It's about what you think. Are you getting everything you want out of that component? And I'll give you some perspective. So we're going to go through each one. So the vision, faith, first of all, faith it's your North Star. I think I've already covered that. I want to be informed by my faith. I want to hear, well done, good and faithful servant. And I want the kind of success that leads to significance. I'm more interested in having impact than just having dollars, right? So by my faith, without faith, it's impossible to please God. And so by faith, I want to walk in such a way to hear, well done, good and faithful servant. So that's faith. And then you have discipline. John Maxwell says everything great is uphill. So you can live intentional or you can live unintentional. You can have excuses because they're free to give. And discipline is free to use. How many know people that give excuses? Don't point at them or look at them. Just stay focused here. Excuses will cost you more than you ever thought you'd have to pay. And discipline will pay you more than you ever thought possible. Excuses weigh in tons of regret. And discipline literally weighs in pounds of gold, in pounds of social equity, like influence and affluence, discipline, favor is on you when you live a disciplined life. Olympic pursuit versus casual pursuit. My Uncle Brent just passed away 2 weeks ago. I spent a lot of time with my Uncle Brent over the past 6 months. Tried to visit him on a weekly basis, and I watched him die. Started asking him questions 4 months ago because I knew it was going to be short, probably 3 months ago, asking him lots of questions. I'm like, hey, you lived a good life. I'm like, how do you feel about it? He goes, I'm like, what do you mean? It's like, my life wasn't good at all. 70 years on planet Earth, and out of my Uncle Brent's mouth was, I didn't have a good life at all. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I wish this. I wish this. I'm like, okay, let me ask some other questions. I want to understand this, Uncle Brent. My Uncle Brent lived on beer, steaks, and smoke from age 16, 17, 18. And I said, all right, do you wish? I said, I know you love your smokes because I was buying him a pack every time I went to visit him. Will you buy me a pack of cigarettes? Sure, Uncle Brent, I'll buy you a pack. So I'd give him his pack of cigarettes. I said, if you had to do it over again, would you start smoking? He goes, no way. Wow. I said, if you had to do it over again, would you start drinking? Definitely not. Horrible decision. He can't make a choice anymore. He's in heaven. He's forgiven of all his stuff. He's free. He's running. He can laugh. He can use a speed bag. Whatever he's doing up there, he's good. He loved Jesus. But at 70 years old, when he died, he had more regret than joy. He did. And I love my Uncle Brent. The one thing that we don't have in common with my Uncle Brent, since we're best friends, is you're alive. I'm alive. But everything else, there's some areas in my life that I already have some regret. I already wish I wouldn't have. There's some areas of your life that maybe you're like, yeah, didn't like that. This is not about playing the backwards tape, people. I just want you to inflection moment. Events challenge you, process changes you. So we're going to go through each one of these, and I'm just going to have you evaluate yourself. So, vision. Hearing God saying, all right, through the lens of faith, Lord, what's the vision you have for me? I have plans for you, plans to prosper you, to give you hope in the future. And so there's two disciplines here that I think are really important. If you're going to be intentional with discipline around your vision and living with purpose. Without vision, people perish. Without vision, people cast off restraint. So the vision component is really life vision planner. Do you have a set of core values that you make decisions by? Do you have a life purpose statement? I told you what mine was. Do you have some big life targets? Like these are long-term, very specific and measurable, but they're big. They're going to take your whole life trying to bring to life. Do you have, think of 10 years and beyond. Do you have a life in 3 years, a picture of what your life looks like in 3 years? In your personal life, your family life, your relationship with your kids, your home, your hobbies. Like, what do you want? God says he wants to give you the desires of your heart. So I'm like, be intentional. What do you want your life to look like in 3 years? And then do you do some annual planning where you set 3 to 6 goals every year? And those 3 to 6 goals are in alignment with your life in 3 years. They're in alignment with your big life targets. They're in alignment with your life purpose. And it's helping you hear, well done, good and faithful servant, every single day because you're on mission. And then every quarter you set some rocks to bring your 1-year plan to life. And then you are uber aware of your issues. Just look to your neighbor and say, you got issues. Look to your neighbor and just say, you got issues. It's true. But I grew up Mennonite. You know what us Mennonites do? We're passive-aggressive people. We don't like to talk about issues. It's like, everything's fine. I love you, you love me. Let's just not talk about the things that are bothering us and causing pain. Let's just smile. How many know we have issues? How many know if you don't address those issues that they fester and grow and they turn into really ugly little things? I don't mean your kids. I mean other issues. So you got issues. And then we need disciplines. Lord, what are the disciplines? The anchor disciplines that would help me live my best life. So that's what I mean by vision. Are you clear? Are you running in such a way as to win the prize? Like you can tell when someone is intentionally running and someone when they're just like a freaking ping pong, pinball, what am I trying to say? Pinball machine. Bing, 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 bing. No intentionality. Scale of 1 to 10. With what I showed you, the second piece of this, it says 100% aligned. If you're married, is there alignment with said vision? You're not your own anymore. You're kind of together. 2 became 1. Is there alignment with that vision? Scale of 1 to 10, rate yourself on vision. 10 being, Baller awesome, Maust. We are dialed in like Olympic athletes, running after it. We feel good. We have peace. We're going down there. We got it going. That's 10. A 1 would be like, what vision? You said vision? Not sure. I like the concept though. That'd be low. That'd be a low number. Okay, next one. Health component. Look at some of these quotes. Take care of your body. It's the only place you have to live in. I love that quote. Sleep is the most important repair mechanism our body has, and getting enough of it will ensure you're feeling fit and energized the next day. Every living cell in your body is made from the food you eat. If you consistently eat junk food, then you'll have a junk body. Ooh, stab you from the front. So there's a couple disciplines here. There's three cores. Sleep, nutrition, and exercise. So what I'm saying with this is, Justin, I've counted the cost and I understand the food I'm putting into my body, and I know it's wholesome, good stuff, and I know the difference between the right stuff and the wrong stuff, and I'm winning that battle more than not. Either I have a disciplined plan of nutrition or I'm pretty healthy, darn it. But I'm very intentional. I'm not off the rails on this one. And then I have my nutrition, then I have my sleep. I'm not sleep deprived. I understand my sleep schedule. I know enough of it that I need sleep. Everybody's a little different. They say the recommended is 7 to 8 hours. I don't know what yours is, but you understand it and you're able to optimize like an Olympic athlete. Olympic athletes that run too hard, work out too hard, their body breaks down and they have injuries more often. Sleep is a big deal. And then last is exercise. Justin, I know how to sweat. I watch some people in the gym sometimes. My wife's like a fitness instructor. I'm a fitness enthusiast, I guess you go. I'm definitely not good at anything, but I like doing some of the stuff. And sometimes I people watch. Have you ever people watched in the mall or people watch places? You can admit it. It's okay. We're all best friends. So sometimes I people watch and people are complaining. No, this doesn't work. I'm like, but I watched you on the treadmill. I never saw you breathe hard and I never saw you sweat, but you were on the treadmill. But you were on the treadmill. And you wonder why things aren't working. There's a cause and effect. Treadmill has a different purpose than like scuttling down the little treadmill. So that's 3 cores. Scale of 1 to 10, how like dialed in are you for that part of your health? And then before you rate it, warp speed. Work, rest, and play. Health is greatly impacted by how you work. If you know a workaholic, raise your hand. Since I'm your best friend, you can look at me and say, I know that guy now, and you can just raise your hand because you know me. I love what I do. I work a lot, probably too much. I'm aware, no judgment, no condemnation. We're all on our own journey, but work, rest, and play, dialed in. You know the rhythm. You're dialed in on that rhythm. You have some disciplines around that. Scale of 1 to 10, I want you to rate health. Now, finances. My grandpa is an amazing guy, farmer, Pigeon, Michigan. Drove an old Buick LeSabre, had a little dirt in the bottom of it, just had one car, had more tractors than he had cars. And I asked him one day, I was in like 9th grade, I said, Grandpa, you're so successful. I said, what's your secret? Like, what'd you do? How'd you manage your finances? He goes, it's pretty simple, Justin. He goes, I live by the 3 S's. I'm like, 3 S's? Yep. He goes, every time God brought money in, every time I made money, he goes, I'd spend some, I'd share some, and I'd save some. Every time. Very intentional. My grandpa was very intentional. Spend some, share some, save some. And so I added a 4th S. So I'm going to give you the 4 S's. If you want to run like an Olympic athlete regarding your finances, you need to have a strategy. What's your strategy? In alignment with your vision, in alignment with God's call on your life. How are you supposed to steward your dollars? What's your strategy to make the money? And what's your strategy to grow the money, to invest the money? And what's your strategy to keep the money? So it's the 4 S's. Strategy, spend some, save some, share some. And really, you should put share some on the first. I'm a 10% giver at least, and it's 10% off the top. Like, Lord, you get 10% of this, babe. So 4 S's, and then you have to have 3 buckets. The 3 buckets, where's my sheet? So the three S's, or the three buckets. Emergency bucket. Well, I know what the dollar amount is, and I've filled that bucket up, or I'm working towards it. I'm on strategy. My long-term savings bucket. Think of retirement. Big future purchase. I know exactly what I want that to be. I know my number. And then the risk bucket. So if you're an entrepreneur, we like to put all of our money in the risk bucket, which is a recipe for failure. So you got to have three buckets. And I have a strategy around that. So finances. That's the finance component. How well are you doing on that component? Now the growth mindset. If you want to have more, you have to become more. For things to change, you have to change. For things to get better, you have to become better. If you improve, everything will improve for you. If you grow, your money will grow, your relationships will grow, your health, your business, and every external effect will mirror that growth in equal correlation. Mindset. Do you have a growth mindset, or are you content to stay the same? Put content in you. It's the SP2 diet. Feed yourself spiritually. Feed yourself professionally. Feed yourself personally. You have to have the SP2 diet. You got to be consuming content from people that are bigger, better, smarter than you are. Spiritually, feed yourself. Scale of 1 to 10, how well are you growing, becoming someone more? You are enough, but the parable of the talents gives me the idea that maybe you should continue to grow. Grade yourself on growth. I'm going to go through the career pretty fast because you're in one, but there's the 4 fits on the career. And it's real simple. Culture fit, I fit these people. Passion fit, I love the work. Skills fit, I'm wired for this work. It's like dialed in. And path fit, it is on mission to my vision. This career helps me bring to life the vision God's given me. Those are the 4 fits. And then because I'm passionate about EOS, if you don't run on an operating system, you should consider having an operating system. EOS is a great one. Scale of 1 to 10, how good are you dialed in on career? And then last is relationships. So there's really 2 primary tools, and then there's 1 command. The 2 tools is you have to evaluate your relationships. It's okay to unfriend some people, not just on Facebook. So you're evaluating energy giver, energy taker. How many of you have some takers in your life? You got to limit some of the time you spend with the takers. It's real. It sucks the life out of you. So evaluate your energy givers and takers. And then who is in alignment with your mission, vision, values? Spend time with those people. And this is not to say only be with those people. God might have a mission for you to love other people that are unlovely. Jesus did it all the time. But that is an intentional designed by God. Like, I'm supposed to go do this. So I'm hearing God, I'm building relationships, and I have a cadence. So the last one is this connection frequency. I'm intentional with my kids. I'm intentional with my spouse. I'm intentional with my parents. I'm intentional with my family, my friends. I'm intentional. Scale of 1 to 10. Okay, those are the 6 key components outside of faith and discipline. So you're rating yourself on whole life success. Was there a component in here that was more convicting than others? Raise your hand if you're like, oof, that one got me. So what I would like, here's an action I want you to take. How many would say, Justin, there is no rocket science here. It's all pretty basic. How many would say, yeah, that's pretty basic? How many, if you actually took some time to own a discipline, that it could actually move the needle, even though it's very basic? I'm not here to give you new information, folks. I'm here to be an inflection point for you to say, I don't want my wife to tell me, you're not the man, you're not the husband, you're not the father I thought you'd be. I don't want my spouse telling me that. I'd like to have the awareness myself. I'd like God to talk to me, and I'd like to take some steps. So I just want you to evaluate which component do you want to take a step towards. Maybe there's a couple disciplines you need to own in those components. And do something about it. If you want to reach out to me, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. You can reach out to me, Justin Maust. Find me somewhere. But I want this to be just a stake in the ground of when I stand before the King of Kings, he's going to say, what'd you do? What'd you do with what I gave you? And I want you to just be super intentional, knowing that that question is coming. and for you to have whole life success for your kids, your spouse, your family, your team, the company you're a part of. You want to give them your best. What does your best look like in light of these components? You are loved. I hope this was helpful. Have a great day. I'll stay for any questions. If you have any questions, I'm happy to have any conversation. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for your time.